Yes, welcome back to the latest instalment of GBN America with me, Patrick Christys. It's a familiar face for you now. It's the much-loved Tim Young, who's a comedian, a host, a speaker, an author. I'm sure that you can find him on X, formerly known as Twitter, as well, at Tim Runs His Mouth. Well, I'm very pleased to say he's about to run his mouth a bit now. There's a lot to talk about. Tim, thank you very much for entering the fray. Where to start? I'll ask you if we can start with something that has just emerged, which is actually that P Diddy, Sean Combs, the rapper, music mogul, producer, has now been arrested again, I believe. I'm hoping you might be able to fill us in a little bit more on what's going on there.
Well, it's all of these charges that relate to the things that he was doing, trafficking people, and the kind of, it seems like there was a lot of like forced sex and a lot of disgusting things that came out of his camp. That really the disturbing thing for me, and the disturbing thing for a lot of people, should be how many people knew about this. This is very much so like Harvey Weinstein Part 2, a little bit more diverse Harvey Weinstein in this instance. And everyone seemed to have known about it in Hollywood and in the music industry and did absolutely nothing about it.
But what kind of stuff is he accused of doing?
That is, let's see, hold on. This just literally came out to me. It looks like it's a lot of, I believe sex trafficking is one of the charges. Let's see. By force, fraud, or coercion.
I believe
engaged in prostitution. There's just stuff. It seems like this list keeps going on.
Yeah, not great. And again, is this another classic now of everyone who's ever worked with this guy who used to sing his praises and say what a lovely man he is now trying to simultaneously claim that they knew about this all along and they never liked him?
100%. I mean, you're seeing this literally across the board. There was an interview the other day with Shannon Sharpe and one of the Wayans brothers, where the Wayans brothers were like, "Oh, I wasn't there when that happened at the parties." Literally everyone in Hollywood knew about this. Everyone in the music industry knew about this. You know, they made jokes about it for the longest time, similar to Harvey Weinstein, where they talk about the casting couch and, you know, Harvey Weinstein is a creep and things like that. That they had. There's a long history, a long record of all of these things going on, and no one did anything about it.
Yeah, absolute madness. Well, we'll obviously have to watch this space and see how P. Diddy gets on in court. But let's move on now to what we were originally going to talk about, which is Trump assassination attempt part 2. So Trump was having a round of golf at his golf course, and then there was the barrel of a gun poking out of a bush, and the Secret Service actually saw it in time this time and got a shot off before that individual fired at the bloke who's hoping to be the next president of the United States. The suspect, Ryan Wesley Ralph, apparently was a big pro-Ukraine activist, supposedly. Seems like a very odd guy. Clearly is quite an odd guy. What do we know about what's going on?
Well, he's been arrested. Obviously, the FBI's taken over the investigation, but Florida Governor Ron DeSantis wants Florida to handle the investigation as well, and they'll be investigating separately because apparently there's now distrust from the governor of Florida in the FBI, and I think there should be at this point. There should be independent investigations into this. But here's a guy who tweeted at some point, "Democracy's on the ballot," so he took all of the media's talking points over here against Trump. As well as he had a Harris Wall sticker. He tried to enlist in the Ukraine army multiple times, and he seemed to have been around a lot of leftists, including World's Kitchen's chef Jose Andres.
Okay, and that's significant, the Jose Andres thing. Why? Just because our British audience might not fully understand what the significance of that is.
So Jose Andres is a very well-known left-leaning chef here who basically goes, when you go to events and Democrat events, basically Jose Andres is who you're hoping to get the food from. He is their celebrity chef. He is their top kind of outspoken lefty guy, you know, where like a lot of celebrity chefs, they like money, so they don't speak out against things in politics. Jose Andres has been very, very vocal and is the guy who shows up and is the one making, you know, the shrimp at the events.
Yeah, well, there you go. Okay, so he's been around all those people, and then he, you know, apparently tried to shoot Trump. You mentioned there that he's got the media's talking points, and I can't help but wonder whether or not actually the Democrats and the mainstream media in America have to share a little bit of the responsibility for what's going on here. This kind of rhetoric, we can't simultaneously have it where people say, the kind of rhetoric that's used to describe people who come across the border as illegal immigrants. That's dehumanising, and it could lead to acts of violence against them. But then you also look at some of the ways that they've decided to describe President Trump in the past, and some say, like you said, that democracy's on the ballot, or he's a fascist, he's a Nazi, and then shock horror, multiple people try to kill him because they think that he's a massive threat to the world existence, don't they?
Literally, the great point. You made a better point than me this entire interview, by the way, because I was just thinking about this earlier today. The Trump and Vance were blamed for bomb threats in Ohio because of the Haitians eating people's cats and dogs, and the reports of that coming through, and them talking about it. So literally, this is the exact same thing. But the media and the left constantly say democracy's on the ballot. He's going to be a tyrant. This is the end of America. Yada 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 about Donald Trump, and they expect nothing to come from it.
Yeah, indeed. Well, let's whiz ourselves over to talk about Taylor Swift now. So Taylor Swift, she's just taken Britain by storm. She's set the world record, I think, for most consecutive concerts at Wembley Stadium, which is just around the corner from where I am now. Making potentially millions of people in Britain very, very happy. However, she's not made Trump particularly happy, has she? Because she's come out and she's officially endorsed Kamala Harris. Has Trump hit back?
I mean, he tweeted, "I hate Taylor Swift," which, Taylor Swift in our polling and things that we've been seeing hasn't made that much of a difference for Kamala Harris. So it made no sense for Trump to say that. I almost feel like sometimes people dare him at breakfast or like on the golf course to tweet something that'll get the media talking. And I think that's exactly what that was. I don't know why he decided to do that. Look, nobody really cares about celebrity opinions. I think ultimately when they can't afford their grocery bills or gas. And luckily, another singer, and a very popular one at that, Pharrell Williams, came out and said, look, nobody cares about this. It's stupid. We don't want to hear celebrity opinions.
Yeah, and I think they're absolutely right, because what those celebrities don't realise is that sometimes they might lose. So let's say Kamala Harris loses to Trump, and then Taylor Swift has endorsed Kamala Harris. Then what that means is that for the next few years, Taylor Swift has to go around and feel the need to go around pointing out everything awful that's going on in America. And then before you know it, you end up becoming a political activist and not actually a singer. And people don't really want that. She takes more private jets than I've had hot dinners, and I've had a lot of hot dinners. So I don't think she can really be lecturing anyone on anything there. But you think it's not actually made that much of a difference in the polling, which is quite interesting, though, isn't it? And so maybe it's not actually going to have that much of an impact. What's the general mood music like on the ground, though, at the moment? What do you think some of the major issues are for Americans going into this election? We're hearing a lot about illegal immigration. You seem to mention there just the general price of goods for people.
Those are the two issues. People can't afford their groceries, and at the same time, there are so many illegal immigrants coming across the border, and our government is giving them handouts. I mean, thousands and thousands of dollars of handouts. They're being shipped all over the country. The fact that Haitians have crossed our border illegally and were shipped to Springfield, Ohio, and all over Ohio, for that matter, and a lot of small towns in Virginia and Pennsylvania. We're hearing about folks going into these very small rural towns, and these towns are being overrun, basically overloaded. They don't have the infrastructure to be able to support these illegal immigrants who are there, on top of their eating people's pets.
Yeah, are they? Are they eating the cats and the dogs?
Yeah, listen, this is one of those stories that it was very odd how the media debunked this or tried to debunk this, where ABC talked to a city planner, a city manager, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with over there, but a city manager basically just manages, if the trash gets picked up or the water's running properly over here. You would want to talk to the police chief and see, because there are actual police reports about people's missing cats showing up and turning up in other people's houses. And there are people who went to city council meetings to talk about their pets being eaten by these Haitian illegal immigrants. Now, if you want to, you can discount certain things, but this wasn't coordinated with any campaign. These were people actually speaking out because they were harmed by these illegal immigrants. I don't know how you say that someone's lying when they're reporting a crime that happened to them, and multiple people are reporting this crime.
No, indeed. And, it wouldn't be the first time that this kind of stuff has happened. I obviously have no idea whether or not it's happening. I'm not there. But we certainly are having an issue at the moment in this country, actually, with people who are on the other side of the English Channel, so they're about to come to this country, and they are apparently ripping the heads off ducks over there and eating them. So, you know, there is a thing happening here. Maybe you and I wouldn't do that, but I suppose it's a different, maybe a slightly different societal norm there. But anyway, well, look, to thank you very much for coming on to GBN America. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, as always, and I hope to talk to you again very, very soon. It's Tim Young there, comedian, host, speaker and author. His Twitter account, or X account, I suppose it is now, is @TimRunsHisMouth. And Tim, until next time, my good man, thank you very, very much. And I'd just like to say to everybody who's watching and listening as well, if you want the very latest stuff coming out of America, then all you have to do is go to gbnews.com/America and you'll find it all there. See you soon.